Imagine graduating from university, whenever your course may finish, say it could be 3 years or 5, and you've spent years preparing for this career. You've done, all of the extra activities, you've even done work placements, and you've got a good experience. And then you graduate into a job market where AI can already perform pretty much all of the entry-level work, and you're just stuck. AI is changing the future of work, and much sooner than many people expect. In fact, it's already happening right now, and it's only going to continue to do so, and at a much more extreme level. AI is already affecting businesses and employment. Companies use AI to increase productivity and yield a better return on their investment, which gives them little incentive to employ people. But not everything is changing for businesses, only certain things. What's changing is what companies hire for, the number of employees needed, and tasks that humans perform, because there will still be tasks that AI can't handle. And AI is still relatively early in its development. The biggest changes ahead for AI are still yet to come, as AI becomes more capable, reliable, cheaper, and more available. And there's a huge amount of hype and speculation and different predictions about the future, whether there's going to be an AI bubble, whether it's going to continue to grow. It's difficult to know and tell where it's going to go, and nobody knows what it'll look like in 20 years. The key question is what happens when AI can perform more and more human knowledge work, or if AI isn't going to replace every human. Companies may need fewer employees to produce the same amount of output, or maybe they'll need the same amount but just working on different things. One AI-enabled employee potentially doing the work of several people that can impact employment, salaries, hiring, progression, and opportunities. The traditional career progression after education looks like as like a junior entry position, then you become a bit more experienced, and then you get senior in that given task, and then you can move on to management. And AI is potentially replacing many junior level tasks, fewer entry level jobs. And how do people gain experience if entry level opportunities disappear? And this is a massive problem. AI is potentially changing the entire structure. Today we're going to talk about where AI is, the jobs it's most likely to affect, and we'll be looking at entry level positions for younger people and coming out of university, highly skilled professions, the future, and industries and opportunities created by AI. And looking at what AI can already do is what we're going to start off with. The jobs that are most vulnerable currently and have been already is work that typically takes place on a computer, where output is digital, tasks are kind of repetitive and predictable because tasks in that nature are quite easy for a computer to handle. Results are easy to measure and track. So AI is already quite good at analysing information, say writing, maybe coding, generating images it can do now, and processing large amounts of data. Before, people thought it'd just be used for pure numbers, but it's already dove somewhat into content creation, as you've seen on social media. AI becomes more capable and cheaper. We've seen in recent years larger, more capable models. It's better at understanding text, audio, and then consequently images, which then leads to video. And the economies of scale means that this only gets cheaper as it happens more. It is worth noting that AI doesn't need to be better than humans at everything. It only needs to be good enough and significantly cheaper, because say you've got infinite intelligence, how's that going to benefit someone who's already extremely intelligent? You only need so much. Now, the creative industries, say scripts, images, voiceovers, music, and even video, one person could be able to produce all of these things where previously you required a whole team, advertising, YouTube, television, film. If AI can produce good enough for a fraction of the cost, why would you bother hiring all these people? The potential response could look like copyright issues, consent, deepfakes, AI labeling. I'm sure you've seen out there on TikTok, you've got lots of AI labels on things, and YouTube even blocks certain AI generated content. But regulation may not fully protect jobs. We can't fully rely on that. And economics of AI could still make human production less competitive. So the twist is that people making money from AI today could eventually face the same disruption. And AI is changing so quickly that today's AI-related jobs aren't necessarily permanently safe, even though people might think they are. 10 years ago, people said that computer science is the future and that's going to be the best career. Well, now programmers can't get jobs out of university, no matter how good their qualifications are. And the biggest risk isn't AI taking your job, it's taking the job you were supposed to get before the job you want. The companies can just hire fewer people. So if nobody hires junior employees, how do people gain experience and become more senior? Well, obviously looking at more clerical, administrative, research, data kind of areas, AI can dominate. So the key issue is the productivity per employee. Now, the current constraint is it is expensive to develop and run, but it can be worth it. There's huge computing requirements, data centers, chips, electricity, cooling, infrastructure, but AI is becoming more capable. And as it becomes more capable, it becomes cheaper. So there is a disruption to information-based jobs. It doesn't necessarily mean there won't be any jobs though, because every AI job replaced could create demand somewhere else. The issue isn't the lack of jobs, but it's the changing of the industry. Data centers don't just design and create themselves. That's lots of jobs that people are doing, because obviously AI can't do anything physical. Now, we've mentioned all the obvious ones, but one of the less obvious ones is healthcare. Healthcare involves huge amounts of information. AI could assist with medical imaging, test results, pattern recognition, diagnosis, and looking at symptoms. And it can process vast amounts of data, much more than humans can. And it can become a powerful diagnostic tool. Doctors could use it to make better decisions, but it is important that humans maintain responsibility for judgment, because that's a potential big issue and could be very dangerous where, AI is making the decisions. And AI may not replace humans everywhere, but it could be a fundamental change of what humans are needed for. And obviously, these are all jobs that AI could disrupt, but here's the part of AI and its story that I think gets overlooked and is worth talking about. And the idea is that AI might be digital, but the infrastructure it runs on is very physical. And until we've got robots walking around, like Star Wars droids or whatever, then AI can't fully take over. And that's not to say that can't happen, but it's certainly not happening in the next 5-10 years. Because the AI models come from, computer chips, GPUs, which comes from semiconductor manufacturing. And then those go into data centers, which require electricity. Electricity generation requires cooling, water infrastructure. And then there's construction for networking, which is in great demand. And all of these sectors are physical, whether it be people like learning trades or managing construction. There's a booming industry there that isn't AI related. And then outside of the purely AI based industry, most businesses don't need their own foundational models. I know so many people online are saying, you need to implement AI or these businesses are just going to go bankrupt, but that's not the case in all industries. They will want to use AI and they'll want to understand how to implement it, automate workflows, train employees, all this stuff. And at a baseline level, yes, that is kind of necessary, but you don't want to overdo it. It will replace some tasks, but businesses still need people to decide what should be automated, what the right tools are, check quality, manage human side. And I think we'll be looking at AI-enabled workers, not necessarily an AI job. Programmers can use AI, marketers, finance people, business owners can use AI to reduce costs. So it's kind of like a working together situation rather than one or the other. AI could make entrepreneurship easier. Historically, businesses required lots and lots of employees, which can be replaced. Research, writing content. You could make a YouTube video now, as I'm sure many people do, with just ChatGPT. Creative design can be done by AI, images, even visuals now. And it's getting very convincing. I mean, think of Gemini and ChatGPT and all those generated pieces of content. But if AI can generate all of these things, then what becomes valuable when those things become cheap? Well, one thing you've got to consider is trust, reputation, relationships, all of these human factors, because AI is never going to be a customer because it hasn't got any money to spend. Only the people do. And the people will all of a sudden stop trusting and they'll give money to only those who have a good reputation. And that's where the value is. In addition to, sales and human connection and accountability. And when AI makes content creating really cheap, the scarce resource becomes attention rather than the volume. So the future may not be humans versus AI. It may be humans using AI versus humans that don't. And I think that's far more likely. And a person with AI can potentially research faster, learn faster, create faster. And this could give individuals more leverage than ever before. But AI is not a magic button. People need to learn how to use it. But that's a very easy thing to say. And it's something that, many people have said before. So what should you actually do to help yourself rather than just ramble on about, oh, you've got to learn AI. Well, what is learning AI? What is that? And it's not just about you talking to ChatGPT and learning how to talk to it properly. You've got to understand all the AI tools available, not just ChatGPT, what can be automated, the workflows, and how you can apply it to your industry. And one of the most important factors to counter AI is work on your human strengths, so communication, sales, leadership, negotiation, and relationships. Develop expertise in your given industry. The specialization can be really valuable. And using AI to do it, knowing how to apply it to something valuable is much harder than just generally using it. Lots of people use ChatGPT like a web browser. Value could be found in building distribution, an audience, personal brand, stuff like that. And consider ownership, equity in businesses, intellectual property, rather than skills that are already at threat, because that's just going to depreciate and you don't want that. So nobody will know exactly what AI will look like in 10, 20 years. It could be more regulated, it could be more restricted, or it could be more powerful and integrated into everyday life. But we do know AI will change how work gets done. And the biggest mistake you could make is not embracing it. Being afraid of AI and ignoring it could potentially be dangerous. You don't need to master it, but you do need to embrace it. And the future probably isn't humans versus AI. It's humans who know how to use AI versus those who don't.